Welcome to the Smart Weight Loss Coaching Podcast. I'm Dr. Lisa Oldson, a board-certified weight loss medicine specialist and certified life coach. In this podcast, I'll share fresh insights and effective techniques for incorporating mindset, habit change, and proven science into your life. Are you ready to achieve sustainable weight loss, wellness, and longevity? Then let's jump in and lose weight the smart way. Welcome back. I was talking with my client, Carol, and she mentioned the challenges she has coming up with a lot of travel and events related to her daughter's wedding. When I offered her some strategies she might use for eating on the road when life is busy, she said, "What you're telling me is to organize my ducks." Let me explain the story behind this, and then you'll know why you might want to get your ducks organized too. Carol's son, Avi, is a special young man with a developmental disability. I've been hearing about him for years, and he holds a special place in my heart, even if we've only waved hello over Zoom. By the way, Carol and Avi both kindly gave me permission to use their real names in today's podcast. Avi lives in a home for adults who need support, but back when he was younger, it was Carol and her husband who were on duty 24/7 to provide for all of Avi's special needs. Now, if you've ever been a parent, you undoubtedly know what it's like to have your child melt down in public. But from what I understand, there are meltdowns and then there are special meltdowns that happen on a scale that's hard for most of us to comprehend. These grand mal meltdowns can be triggered when certain routines are disrupted or plans unexpectedly change. Many years ago, when Carol and family were traveling, there were flight delays that threw off their food plans. And at some point, I think it's fair to say that Avi had had enough. He was supposed to eat lunch at noon, but the plane didn't land until 1 p.m. Poor Avi, he had one of those very special meltdowns that no one likes to have. I wasn't there, so I don't want to try to describe it. But when Carol was talking about it, it made me remember one spectacular meltdown my daughter had, lying on the sidewalk outside a Costco store, screaming at the top of her lungs while I watched, knowing that there was nothing I could do to comfort or redirect her. The best thing for her was just to let her scream it out as various onlookers walked past, some looking at me with compassion, others with clear judgment about my mothering. Some ramped-up version of that is what I pictured when Carol described what happened that day when Avi didn't have the food he needed when he needed it. The chaos must have been overwhelming for all of them. In the aftermath of the special meltdown, Avi's therapist said that Avi really needs to have his ducks in a row, and that when those ducks are in a row, it provides a level of comfort and security that's really helpful, maybe even necessary for him to feel safe and to remain calm. Over the years, this concept of having Avi's ducks in a row morphed into shorthand expressions. Do you have your ducks? Let's get Avi's ducks. Give me a few minutes to get my ducks. And so on. Like many of us, Carol is what I call a helper. She is always taking care of others and lining up their ducks. She does this for Avi, she does this in her job, and I'm sure she does this in countless ways for the people in her life. But what I suspect is that Carol's ducks are the last ones left, swimming in circles, paddling around the pond chaotically, while she's lining up everyone else's ducks. Carol doesn't lie on the ground outside of Costco screaming, "It's not fair," at the top of her lungs, but when her ducks are chronically misaligned because she's too busy taking care of others to take care of herself, that's when it's probably easiest to grab food off plan, to eat dessert when you didn't plan on it, or to make convenient choices rather than healthy choices. Or maybe not to even choose at all and just let the food happen to you rather than being in control of what you eat when life is busy and your metaphorical plane is delayed. I see two directions we can go to take care of our ducks. One is just a simple check into our basket of skills and strategies to find something pragmatic to help us out when the food situation is not what we expected. The other approach is to manage our minds. When we manage our thoughts, we have better control over the choices that impact our health and our weight. It's the mind management, the self-talk that has the biggest impact. But since we're all a bit more used to using skills and strategies for weight management, let's start there. Here are 3 strategies that come to mind when you want to line up your ducks for an upcoming trip or event. Strategy number 1, make a plan. This sounds basic, but it really works. If you look ahead and simply ask yourself, what's my plan for the weekend? Or what's my plan for the holiday or the vacation? You're far more likely to get those ducks lined up than if you just wing it. Strategy number 2, have a backup to your plan, a plan B. Making a smart backup starts with the question, what could go wrong? I think we intuitively do this when parenting young children. I'm going to the grocery store with my baby. What could go wrong? How about a diaper emergency, even though I just changed her right before leaving? I'll solve it by bringing a couple of extra diapers, wipes, and a changing pad. That's probably familiar to a lot of you. Here's another example, a bit more food related. I remember driving to my mom's house when my kids were really little, and plan A might be that we were going to her house for dinner. But there had to be a plan B, which would involve giving them a little healthy snack in the car in case we got caught in traffic and the 1-hour drive became 2 hours. By wondering what could go wrong and recognizing that traffic can be unpredictable, a common strategy for me, as for most parents, might be to throw some baby carrots or plain yellow box Cheerios into a container, along with something to drink and some toys or books the kids could use to pass the time. It's the same concept with food when you're going to an event, a vacation, or even just a weekend road trip. We can do for ourselves what we used to do for our children when they were little, or what we do for others. Let's imagine I'm flying out for a weekend gathering for a birthday party, which I'm actually doing this weekend. Now, what could go wrong with my healthy eating plan? Maybe the birthday party food is entirely unhealthy and nothing I'd even like to eat if I was choosing to have a splurge. Maybe plan A is to eat some homemade healthy trail mix before going to the party. That's a pretty straightforward plan, and I often bring apples or things like trail mix when I travel. Another obstacle I'm predicting is that with the government shutdown and shortage of air traffic controllers, my flight might be majorly delayed, and I'll end up eating my trail mix while hanging out in the terminal for 4 hours. Suddenly, I won't have any trail mix if I need it over the weekend. A decent way to work around that obstacle and to avoid eating airport food is to take 10 or 15 minutes to pack more food before leaving home for my flight. I'm going to get my ducks in a row as if my flight will be delayed. We can all do this kind of planning and contingency planning. I have a standard airport meal that I like to bring, which is a sandwich with whole grain bread from my local bakery, avocado, and sliced hard-boiled eggs with a bit of salt and pepper. I wrap it up, add an apple, and stick it in my carry-on bag. If we're delayed, the sandwich will be the first thing I eat. If we're delayed further, I'll have the apple. Another delay, and I'll eat my trail mix, and by the time I finally get to my destination, I might be down to my last resort, but that's no problem because I always travel with some Lara bars, which have a pretty clean ingredient list. And by the way, I'm not a Lara bar influencer. I just happen to read the ingredient list of all the bars on the grocery store shelves, and that one has become my favorite. So, make your plan, then evaluate that plan to see what could go wrong and solve for those obstacles. Lastly, strategy number 3, let your people support you. Maybe that's just asking your significant other, what am I forgetting for this weekend? Or would you please help me make sandwiches for myself and everyone else who wants to bring one? Maybe it's asking someone to be part of your plan to split a meal over the weekend so you won't overeat. Or maybe it's asking your sister if she'd be able to bring a few extra tangerines in case there's nothing healthy to eat as a snack and dinner is delayed. You don't have to do it all yourself. To get your ducks in a row, make a plan, make a backup plan, and let people help you, which I know is really hard for all you helpers out there to do. You're so busy helping everyone else that you forget to ask for or accept help for yourself. Before we move to the mindset piece of ducks in a row, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor. Just kidding. It's still me, Dr. Lisa Oldson, physician and founder of Smart Weight Loss Coaching. If you're as focused on your health as you are on the scale, you're my person. In my online program, we'll help you establish healthy habits for weight loss, better health, and longevity. If you'd like to learn more about our affordable monthly membership, head over to smartweightlosscoaching.com. We would love to help you transform the way you approach weight loss so it takes up less brain space and frees up your time for other things you love to do. Join us to see how different a smart weight loss program can be. And we're back. I find that most women in my membership program know a lot about what they should do to lose weight and to be healthy. What blocks us from doing what we'd like to do can be uncovered by digging into our unintentional thoughts. If Carol is going to her daughter's wedding with Avi, her husband, and other family members, she might have a thought like, "This week is going to be so hectic and none of the food is under my control." If she thinks that thought, "I have no control over the food," you can bet she'll feel powerless. It's important to notice this step, to really dig into what we're thinking and how it makes us feel, because whether or not we get our ducks in a row may well depend on it. So if Carol thinks she has no control over the food during wedding week and she feels powerless, she's at risk for throwing in the towel and eating whatever comes her way. Basically, that would be giving away her power unintentionally. If she does that for the wedding, then it's pretty likely she'll do it for the next big family event too, because she's training her brain to believe that she has no control over the food in these situations, and that since she's powerless, the only option is to surrender. That might mean eating dessert with every meal. It might mean wine every night. It might mean white bread with butter with lunch and dinner. It might mean splurgy restaurant breakfasts in the hotel every day. This is all hypothetical, of course, because I'm just imagining what could happen to any of us in this situation. This isn't actually what Carol described to me. And by the way, it's not to say that Carol can't have dessert at her daughter's wedding. Of course she can. I hope she will. But she doesn't have to concede defeat on her weight loss journey by having dessert multiple times in one week and splurging on every single meal. I happen to know that her daughter's marriage is being celebrated with 2 ceremonies and parties, so I imagine there are 2 week-long events that might have a similar outcome if Carol thinks that the food is out of her control. Let's think for a moment about how she might curate a different thought in order to take her power back. How about one of these? But before I say them, please just take a moment and think about a different thought you might offer to Carol. Here's one. My daughter's marriage is what I'm celebrating, and I don't need to go to the food carnival to celebrate that. Or maybe something like this. I'm going to plan a splurge for the wedding dinner, but every meal doesn't need to be a splurge for me to have fun. I'm going to be with people I love, and that's the fun, not the food, the people. Or maybe she'll choose a thought like this one. I actually have plenty of control over my food this week. I can bring some healthy snacks with me, and if they're serving something that I prefer not to eat, I've got a backup. When she thinks thoughts like that, how do you imagine Carol's going to feel? I'm guessing she'll feel a bit more peaceful about the food situation, less out of control, and more sure that she'll make it through without going to the food carnival. Honestly, she could also choose my favorite thought that Marie Forleo popularized with her book, This is Figure-Outable. I love to think that thought on purpose when I catch myself feeling stuck because I know that I created the stuck feeling with my own thoughts. This is figure-outable is the best thought ever for getting unstuck. So if you're like Carol and you want to take care of your ducks, you'd be smart to think through a strategy or two and also to catch what you're thinking. Because when you're thinking you have no control over your food, you will feel powerless and you'll eat all the food that you wanted to avoid. But when you're thinking instead that this situation is figure-outable, you'll feel confident and you'll start brainstorming solutions. It all starts with your ducks. Line them up, get them in a row, because when you do, you'll feel ready to handle any obstacle that comes your way on your path to better health and weight loss. Let's talk about your NBA, your next best action for today. Perhaps it's time to ask yourself, what do you need? What are your ducks that feel better when they're all in a row? You might consider an upcoming event and write down which ducks you need in order to feel confident and navigate any obstacles. Maybe you've already got a plan for your upcoming event or trip, and you just have to brainstorm your plan B in case plan A's ducks get out of line. You've got this. Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like more support during your smart weight loss journey, check out our group coaching program at smartweightlosscoaching.com. Until next time, stay well and stay smart.